How to turn ideas into actions. One of the biggest traps in starting a business is waiting until you feel ready. Ready enough, clear enough, confident enough. Most people believe that once they've got the perfect plan or the perfect idea or enough certainty, then that's when they'll take action. But in reality, it actually works the other way around. Clarity and confidence don't come before action, they come from action. Overthinking can feel really productive. You might spend all of your time researching, planning, reading, or refining your idea over and over again. And those things can be really helpful. But thinking alone rarely moves a business forward because thinking has very little risk. Action does. Early business growth doesn't come from having a perfect plan. It comes from giving it a try. Someone who's had a business idea sitting in a notebook for a really long time, could be months, even a year. They've done all of the research, they've taken the courses, they've refined the idea over and over again, but haven't actually offered anything yet. That's not because they lack ability, but because they're actually waiting for the moment when it feels completely ready. Eventually, when they start to take action, one small step doesn't need to be anything dramatic. Writing a short post describing their idea, offering a few free sessions just to test it. Just a way of starting a conversation. Within a few days, people will start to respond. They'll start to receive questions, feedback, encouragement. And within a few weeks, they've got a much clearer understanding of what people are interested in, what resonates, and what might need adjusting. Sometimes they even gain their first paying client. But what changed wasn't their skills, their experience, or their capability. That was all already there. What has changed was their willingness to take one step before they felt completely ready. And this is where a really simple concept can help. Instead of asking yourself a big question, like, how do I start my business? Try asking a smaller, more practical one. What is the smallest real-world action that I can use to move this idea forward? This is sometimes called the smallest viable step. It's about taking one action that creates some movement. For example, that step might be sharing the idea with someone that you trust, asking potential customers what they think, offering a small pilot scheme or a test version, writing a simple description of the service to share, or even starting a conversation with the problem you want to solve. None of these steps required a finished business, but each of them moves that idea out of your head and into the real world. Something important happens when you start to take changes and start to take action. Small actions create evidence. Evidence that people are interested. Evidence that your idea has potential. Evidence that you can actually do this. And it's that evidence that builds confidence. Attached to this video, you'll find a worksheet that'll help you identify your own smallest viable step. The goal about the workshop isn't to design an entire business plan today. The goal is simply to identify the next action that moves you forward. A really helpful tip to remember in the early stages of business is that action beats perfection every time. And progress usually comes from doing things slightly before you feel fully comfortable. Learning through experience, adjusting as you go, discovering what works along the way. You don't need to feel ready in order to begin. The readiness often appears after you've started. So if you take one thing away from today's session, let it be this. You don't need to feel ready to begin. You need to begin to feel ready. And sometimes that begins with one small step. What small step will you take today?